Hey guys, James here again. This is me. What if Yuji was more cursed energy? Now we last left off with this. Well, I originally had a second part, but I'm redoing it because I didn't like it. I made Yuji a little too overpowered, thinking he could handle literally anyone because of his cursed ability. Now it is but isn't correct because his cursed technique, Scramble, which and plus the second technique he's developing, it's easier because he has Sukuna and Sukuna has multiple abilities, so it's Gojo, and it's easier for Chidori to develop a new ability. But yeah, now also, I've been thinking of giving you guys names, and I call myself J Games, even though I barely even play video games anymore. If I do play video games, it's like Minecraft or some random ad I get. So comment what you guys want me to call you that isn't gamers. I asked my friend, and he said anime viewers, which I'm not going to call you guys that because if someone somehow finds out how to Google anime, or someone doesn't know what anime is, and they Google it and find out, it's gonna find their way back to my family, and I'm getting in trouble. So anime viewers is off the table. So, yeah, gamers and anime viewers are off the table. Now, let's start off with Yuji eating Sukuna's finger, and basically I established that he and Megumi are second years. As they enrolled in Jujutsu Academy a lot earlier, as Megumi and Yuji basically live on campus now. Because Megumi basically lives with Megumi, if he doesn't live with Gojo, this one he mainly live with Yuji and his grandpa. I didn't clarify that. And so he lives with Yuji and his grandpa, and Yuji's grandpa lives in the mountain with them. And Yuji is friends with almost every Jujutsu sorcerer that he knows of. Only ones he isn't friends with would be the principal of the Kyoto prefecture, well, the principal of Kyoto. He isn't friends with Mekamaru, and he isn't friends with Noritoshi and Nishimiya. Those are the only four people he's not friends with. Mai and Maki, well, Mai is more like an acquaintance. Him and Maki, it's a weird relationship with those two. But yeah. Now, I made Yuji a little too overpowered in the last part, but I'm gonna go over this right now. So Yuji ate Sukuna's finger, and when he ate it, to Gojo and basically every other sorcerer that heard Yuji eating it already had expectations for him to be extremely strong with it. Point where they even thought about not even executing it. They thought, once he eats all 20 fingers, he might even be able to conquer Sukuna. And I can tell you this, by the time he eats all 20, he might be able to handle Sukuna one-on-one. Even though Sukuna's going to be a max power, Yuji and him might be boxing on equal terms. But right now, Yuji at best is like 3 or 4 Sukuna's fingers in total. As Yuji can beat Megumi pretty easily. Gojo and him, Gojo is he's stronger than Yuji, and he's faster. Yuji, but in terms of like cursed energy or cursed technique usage, it goes to Yuji, as the only technique that Yuji can't bend off is cursed technique purple. That's really it. And the 6 eyes, because he can't affect that. But if it comes to cursed technique red, Yuji all he has to do is get within at least 1 foot of it and fire off a blast of scramble or a scramble, I guess. Fires off a blast of that, then you can scramble the cursed energy in it to the point where it doesn't even work anymore, but it still looks like it's there. But yeah. Now, one day Yuji and Megumi are talking, and Gojo walks up to them, telling them, you guys aren't going to get teammates. Now with Nobara, they actually gave her a heads up around a year earlier, saying, you're listed as a student of this academy, but you're going to train with cursed technique, there's no tomorrow. And we will not send out a teacher for you, but you have to train as hard as you can, even if it means traveling around. Nobara was reluctant of it until they reveal, there's no first years at Jujutsu Academy besides her. So we're enrolling you a year earlier, even though you're not going to get the academy. Nobara understands how hard she has to train, so yeah, by the time they meet her, she's in second year. She's stronger than Ken and Nobara, by the way. She can even use the Black Flash, but she would actually be taught the basics of it. She would actually be able to pick it up pretty quickly. She's not able to use it yet, but she's able to use the Divergent Fist. She's able to handle almost everything that happened to her in canon, except for her unclear death. Well, we don't know if she's dead yet. Spoiler. Well, I don't know if she's dead yet. I'm not that far in the Shibuya incident. I'm like right as Mahito hit her. But yeah. Eventually, Nobara would come into the city, and Nobara's actually very muscular. She has how long she had to train. She's not like crazy muscular, but if you poked her body, you would feel muscle there. And then she sees what Gojo meant by your teammates are so incredibly strong. Yuji has the same kind of outfit as in canon, but instead of like the red hood coming from his main sorcerer jacket, Yuji has like a basic red jacket under sorcerer, like the basic black coat, and he wears giant red high tops. Well, they're not giant, but they're just red high tops because I don't like his skating shoes. Just red high tops, a red hoodie, black jacket, black pants. Megumi has a similar fashion, but he wears a black hoodie and a black jacket, black high tops, black pants. Him and Yuji kind of match. And she didn't see that Yuji's kind of massive compared to Megumi, I guess. Well, not massive, but he's pretty tall. As Yuji is around 6'3", and I made him taller just to compare to Aoi Todo, since those two are basically rivals at this point. Todo is a lot stronger, so is Yuji. Like, everyone's stronger except for Noritoshi, Mekamaru, and Nishimiya. It's like those three aren't stronger because of Yuji's influence. We labeled those three. Mekamaru doesn't train that much as he doesn't really care about Yuji, and then Nishimiya doesn't really even know Yuji. She met him like once or twice at most. Then Noritoshi doesn't even care about Yuji at all. They've met multiple times, but he still doesn't like Yuji. But yeah, eventually Nobara will ask him, "What are we gonna do today?" And instead of like the actual mission they have, Gojo will actually start going over Yuji and Megumi's abilities with Nobara. To the point where Nobara even finally finds out Yuji's basically a special grade sorcerer, but he's at grade 1 since he hasn't proved himself fully. Like he's handled many special grades, but not in this like compared to other special grades that other special grade sorcerers have fought. The ones Yuji has fought are nothing. Like Sukuna is at best like Gojo could fight Sukuna, Geto can fight Sukuna. Like a lot of special grades can fight Sukuna, but Yuji can't. So yeah, then Gojo will explain that if Megumi would train harder, he could probably match Yuji, but Yuji's curse technique is always going to be the best of Megumi. So they send out the Kyoto students to handle the spirit that originally Nobara and Yuji were going to take care of, and they sent out the Kyoto the Kyoto first year from Kyoto. So yeah, I don't think he's revealed in the manga, but his name was like Arita or something. I don't know if he's first year still, or if he's a recent first year, but actually no, not him. I mean, Billy knows who he is. Mai can go handle it. Mai and Mekamaru can go handle it, or Mai and Kasumi. But yeah, Gojo actually have them train together. All three of them train together as is like they're told to just train your heart away. And Gojo and Yuji will train Megumi, and Nobara will train. And it's mainly Gojo and Yuji right now because Yuji's a martial artist right now, but he's not too good at it. But Yuji mainly has to hone his martial arts with Gojo and actually get used to Sukuna's power. It's the point where Gojo's pushing Yuji to the point where he has to force out Sukuna. And eventually Yuji will let out a roar after like an hour fighting Gojo. And Yuji actually broke through Gojo's Limitless or Infinity by using his scramble technique. You have Gojo and tries to palm strike on the gut, but Gojo will use Infinity and block it, and Yuji can't break through it. Yuji being pissed off at this point will actually let out a roar of just anger, and a red aura surrounds him, this being cursed energy, and Sukuna will come out. Sukuna then realizes, Yuji's trying to force control of him, as he can't even move his arm properly without Yuji forcing it back in normal position. And eventually Gojo will punch Sukuna in the guts and flying through the forest like he's nothing. And Gojo finds out that Sukuna isn't getting back up. Anyways, Yuji and Sukuna are basically having an internal struggle. Now we're going to go to Yuji's mindscape. Yuji and Sukuna are fighting to their heart's extent, and eventually Yuji is able to just... After Yuji and Sukuna are just, I guess, locked in with each other, Sukuna is kind of like Yuji's grabbing Sukuna's hands, Sukuna's grabbing Yuji's hands, and trying to push each other off of the giant spine. Sukuna's shocked that Yuji's matching him physically, even though it's basically almost impossible. Eventually, Yuji's trying to force out Black Flash, but this is when Sukuna will tell him, well, you have a lot of cursed energy, because you have a lot of cursed energy doesn't mean you can weaponize it like it's nothing. Your amount of cursed energy is impressive, but you need to hone it more. Yuji then says, "Stop talking. I almost have two curse techniques. You can't tell me that I need to hone it." Sukuna chuckles, saying, 2? I have 4. Suddenly, Yuji looks at his arms that are split apart, and Sukuna comes back as he basically makes an arrow of flames and shoots it at Yuji. Which leads to Yuji using Scramble his arms come back because Yuji's mind gate. They can't make him come back. He's come back. He'll use scramble and disperse the whole arrow. Sukuna then says, "How about this? I can try to give you a domain expansion, as I already know how to use mine." Yuji then says, "Me and you can discuss this after we fight." Sukuna would nod, saying, "I wouldn't have it any other way." And eventually, Yuji and Sukuna will engage in a fight that would feel like it lasts days, even though it lasts like 2 hours at best. Once Yuji wakes up, Gojo, Megumi, and Nobara are shocked because they thought Gojo killed Yuji. But when Yuji sits up, they notice his body has a lot more muscle definition to it. As they look at it, they start asking Yuji, like, what did you do? Like, what did you do while you were asleep? Because you're a lot more muscular than you should be. So Yuji starts explaining, he ended up fighting Sukuna. And Gojo asks Yuji, do you guys make a pact, or do you guys just fight for no reason? That's when Yuji would say, for now, Sukuna is my voluntary master. And Gojo would be a little confused, but this is when Yuji starts explaining. The deal between him and Sukuna was, Sukuna would help Yuji develop more than 2 curse techniques if Sukuna can beat him if Yuji can beat him in a fight. And Yuji was able to not beat Sukuna, but he was able to actually impress Sukuna to the point where Sukuna almost ended up wanting to forfeit because he kept getting all those curse techniques destroyed by Yuji. Yuji uses his sensory with curse techniques. He had a sense curse techniques actually avoid Sukuna's attacks. If he didn't, Sukuna would have killed him multiple times over. Now, Sukuna would have told Yuji about his malevolent shrine domain expansion. He told Yuji, well, if you access my power to its full extent, I can probably give you 2 domain expansions, mine and your own, yours of your own creation. Now Yuji, he's trying to develop his own domain expansion. His domain expansion, I haven't figured out the name of it real quick, so pause. Alright, so Yuji explains to Gojo he's trying to develop more curse techniques with the help of Sukuna. That includes his own domain expansion, plus adding on Sukuna's domain expansion. Gojo thinks it's going to be pretty useful, so he actually allows Yuji to meditate in the hidden room, and he has to use the pet bear as he fights Sukuna in his head. Now, the name of Yuji's domain expansion, or the domain he's trying to create, would be the Pitch Black Room. The whole base of this room is the person trapped in it, besides Yuji. In Yuji's perspective, is just anything he wants. And from the person that he keeps in there, it's a pitch black room that makes them feel bored, but for what it is actually a few minutes, for them it feels like decades, centuries, millennium. Like time just flows fast, not flows fast, but it flows slower each time they're in there. You can go from feeling like you're bored for a millennium to feeling like you're bored for a century, then for decades, months, weeks, days, hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds. Basically, time seems to go slower and slower to the point where you're just driven insane. And while you're insane, usually will just, while you're going insane, usually takes that to its advantage and will then knock you unconscious or kill you, whatever he wants to do. Now, when you fast forward to the Hidden Womb arc. So since Yuji and Nobara didn't have the whole thing where they had to, Gojo versus Jogo. That goes the exact same way. There's no difference. It goes the exact same. Yuji does not fight Jogo. Yuji spent his whole time training with Sukuna. Eventually, Yuji, by the time he's done training with Sukuna, it's time for the Cursed Womb thing. It's Cursed Womb arc. By the time it's time for that, Yuji is already on a level of at least 6 Sukuna fingers. And he can conjure up some of Sukuna's cursed energy, and Sukuna's teaching him how to use positive cursed energy instead of domain expansion and adding on a non-new domain. He's teaching him how to use positive cursed energy instead of adding domain expansion and a new curse technique. He thinks positive cursed energy will be the easiest right now, as he's not a prodigy like Gojo, so positive cursed energy will probably be the easiest. So yeah, now Cursed Womb arc. So Kyoto students had to call upon Yuji to do this, as they covered Tokyo. They covered Tokyo for the last mission. This one's originally supposed to be Kyoto, but they have everything Tokyo do it as a debt. And they swap in to summon Yuji, Nobara, and Megumi. And now Nobara, Yuji, and Megumi, they're all incredibly strong. And Yuji changed his outfit up a bit to the point where he just has a black, has a black robe as a upper half, while he wears the basic Jujutsu sorcerer outfit on the bottom. Now, he mainly wears this to get a feel for Sukuna, to just sort of match Sukuna after be him. So you're trying to do something like that, and Sukuna already knows that's what you're trying to do. But time they have to fight the cursed womb. So the exit still does close, but Yuji already says he can sense where the exit is. Nobara says if she wants to, she can smash the way out. Not Yuji. Megumi says he can have one of his dogs smell the way out. And eventually Nobara is still split off from the group, but by the time she has to fight the space by herself, that's going pretty easy. She doesn't even need to use cursed energy. She can just kick them all away. But eventually Nobara will start using Black Flash to learn how to use it. Megumi and Yuji fight the cursed womb, and then it's going to basically complete wash, like it's nothing. But eventually, the cursed womb will grab Megumi and send him flying through a wall. And as Yuji tries to grab him again, the cursed womb will bite at Yuji, biting his hand off on his hand. But Yuji will grab his other hand, and slam it onto the stub, and use some of Sukuna's cursed energy. He's able to do that as he's in the middle of learning positive cursed energy. He's able to manipulate it to a small extent. As he manipulates it, he's able to put his hand back to normal. But it's completely numb, you can't really feel it anymore. Now, Megumi already knows that Yuji's probably going to handle the cursed womb pretty easily, or at least try to handle it easily. But eventually, the cursed womb's trying to just do so many cursed techniques to the point where Yuji has to force out Sukuna. When he forces out Sukuna's already just like, well, I didn't realize your body was this strong now. And Sukuna just chuckles as he then says, "Malevolent Shrine." And he summons the cursed womb there. As they're in the Malevolent Shrine, Yuji is next to Sukuna. Sukuna says, so you can appear here. Yuji chuckles, saying, "Let me handle this." Yuji then yells Black Flash, as a black aura will surround him, and it's just him beating the crap out of the cursed spirit. And mainly domain expansions will kind of buff up the user's power. So Yuji kind of having Sukuna's cursed energy a little bit. He's able to buff him, get a buff in that, and he's able to completely destroy the cursed womb to the point where he punches it into pieces. But once they exit the domain expansion, Yuji had already punched half of the cursed womb off, and he's able to grab Sukuna's finger, and he's debating if he should eat it or not, but he remembers his orders, just because of his strength, they're actually okay with him eating the fingers. They're not worried about it, so they actually give him the okay to eat it. But as Yuji's thinking about it, Sukuna just makes a mouth on Yuji's hand and eats the finger himself. As Yuji says, "Damn it, I was thinking." Because Sukuna will say, "I know what you're thinking. This is detrimental to your training." Sukuna thinks, Yuji, by the time Yuji eats all 20 fingers, he might have a vessel that's stronger than his old body. So he wants Yuji to eat all 20 fingers. And he wants to train Yuji just to get a stronger host. Sukuna's getting stronger as he trains Yuji. Now, eventually, once Megumi and Nobara come out, they're looking for Yuji as they see Yuji's whole robe is gone. They see it's in pieces, but they see the cursed womb doesn't even have a finger anymore. And they see Yuji arguing with his hand as they see Sukuna's mouth. And one thing they got from Sukuna is, "I had to eat the finger for your training." They look at the cursed womb, they look at Yuji, as they say, "Yuji, you ate the finger." You would nod, and then the cursed womb who rushes at Yuji. Sukuna says, "Damn it, I don't have time for this." Sukuna will take over Yuji's arm. Sukuna is able to take over Yuji's, parts of Yuji's body, not his whole body, but parts of it. And that's part of their deal. Yuji, if he falls unconscious in the middle of a fight, Sukuna takes over. But if Sukuna wants, he can take over one limb of Yuji. One. Sukuna will take over one of Yuji's arms, and will kind of cut the cursed womb to pieces. And when Yuji uses cursed energy, mixing him scramble, he's able to actually just basically kill the cursed womb. Once it's dead, Sukuna just goes back in Yuji's brain, and Yuji just walk off with he's able to just find all the bodies and bring them out. And the woman is able to find out her son died, but she's actually thankful for Yuji for finding him. Okay, so they beat the cursed womb, and eventually they end up Yuji beats it, and they have to leave. Once they leave, the woman starts to see her son's, she's not proud, but she's good, not good. She's surprised to see her son's body, but she's grateful it's not destroyed. And she's grateful enough that she invites Yuji to his funeral, but Yuji does attend. Well, not but he does attend. So yeah, now we're going to fast forward a bit to the cursed training arc. This arc is originally where Gojo fights Jogo, but I fast forwarded that fight just for my sake. Now Yuji, he can control cursed energy pretty well. He can use Black Flash and Divergent Fist, so he doesn't need to do his training. but he does train with Sukuna. And Sukuna is able to help Yuji develop the curse technique he's been wanting to. And Yuji doesn't know what the name for the curse technique should be, as this curse technique replants. Like he'll mark people with curse energy, or mark objects with curse energy, and he can make summon a blade of curse energy, an explosion of curse energy, or just make the person feel a strong impact there. And Yuji doesn't know what to call it until he decides to call it. Well, just to honor Sukuna for helping him make the technique, he calls it Sukuna's gracing, or Sukuna's blessing. Well, yeah, Sukuna's blessing. So he calls it since Sukuna basically helped him make the whole technique. So that's like his way of honoring Sukuna for it. Sukuna and him are frenemies at this point. Sukuna can but he can respect Yuji's intense strength, even though it's kind of rare. But for training arc, that concludes after it didn't last too long. But eventually Yuji will have to go with will have to go with Nanami to go fight Mahito. So when they're going to fight Mahito, when they're going to where they were in canon, eventually Yuji's told about Junpei. Well, first he told about the students that die, then he told about the cursed spirit that was there, then he told about Junpei. Yuji's told Renault and Junpei as he fights spirits with Nanami. Eventually Nanami does fight Mahito by himself still, and Yuji still meets Junpei. But this time the way he gets the guy away from Junpei, just so Yuji can talk to him alone, is just using scramble on him, to make the guy think he had to go home. So you scramble on the guy, and the guy went home. He's able to make him forget that he had met with Junpei and Yuji. Now, eventually Yuji and Junpei will talk for a bit, and Yuji and Junpei still get along pretty well. Now, one thing about Yuji, he's not as canon. He's still kind of fun and happy, but he doesn't act like it, even though he has more of a Megumi kind of attitude, even though he's more like a Gojo inside. So yeah. But yeah. So Yuji and Junpei eventually talk until Yuji ends up going to Junpei's house. Now Yuji does not stay the night, but on his way out, he started to watch Junpei's house as Nanami told Yuji. Mahito got away, and we suspect that one of his spirits, or I suspect that one of his spirits, is the one that killed the boys near Junpei. So Yuji's watching house walk, trying to suppress as much energy as he can. It doesn't work too well, as some of Mahito's spirits do come near Yuji, and scramble is enough to take them down because they're pretty weak. But by the time he senses Sukuna's finger with Mahito, he appears in front of Mahito, or behind Mahito. But coming down to her technique, her spirit, her energy, he's able to disperse a lot of her spirits that are trying to attack him. Eventually, once Mahito realizes, Junpei is asleep, and so his mother tries to put the spirit near Junpei's mother. But as he leaves, or tries to leave, he turns around seeing Yuji. As he turns around, he feels a strong punch to his jaw that almost knocks him unconscious, but sends him flying through a window. Junpei walks out, he sees Yuji and Mahito fighting, and he tells him, Junpei thinks that Yuji's the aggressor. Tries to get Yuji off of Mahito until Yuji will yell at Junpei. Mahito's trying to kill Junpei's mom. Junpei is immediately scared as he points to the finger on the table, saying, "Take it," and he's able to get Mahito far enough away, point where he types in Nanami's number, goes from to Junpei, and tells Junpei, "Take the finger and run as far as you can. If you see spirit, don't stop running, but call that number." Eventually, Mahito and more spirits come back, as that would lead to Yuji and the spirits fighting, and Junpei has to call Nanami as Nanami answers Nanami's it's 1 a.m. What do you want, Yuji? But he hears a frantic Junpei saying, "Yuji's fighting Mahito. I used to be a student of Mahito, but Mahito tried to kill my family, and Yuji's protecting me." Now, Yuji goes over the whole situation. Junpei goes over the whole situation with Yuji and him right now, and Mahito, as Yuji's able to get Junpei's mom away, but eventually Nanami's able to find where Junpei is and able to defend him from spirits. Eventually, they go look for Yuji as they see him kind of tired and leaning against a brick wall, and they see that Yuji is very bloodied and beaten. Next to him, seeing Mahito barely even have his body left. Now, Mahito's regenerating slowly and trying to crawl away, but Yuji's standing on his foot. Now Now Sukuna takes over one of Yuji's arms and just lifts it up as as Nanami just throws the finger into Sukuna's mouth that manifested. And Yuji is able to just eat a finger if he sees one, like eat one of Sukuna's finger if he sees one. So Sukuna just give me. Sukuna ate it and he told Yuji, we're gonna meditate for a bit. As Yuji would nod slowly and he falls over, but Junpei will catch him. Junpei catches him. He had first Nanami asks, where's Junpei's mom? This leads for a search that lasts like 10 minutes until they find Junpei's mom hidden in the crawl space in Junpei's house. So yeah, but eventually after an hour, Yuji wakes up and he's fully healed. Nanami asks Yuji, how'd you heal so fast? And then Nanami will say, Sukuna, right? Yuji will chuckle, saying, I mastered it. As he smiles, didn't master, but he learned it. He learned it to the point where he can use it anytime he wants to. Now, Nanami is confused, saying, what'd you learn? Yuji smiles and says, positive cursed energy. Nanami will chuckle, saying, you learned it before me. Yuji will smile, as he then says, next stop, domain expansion. Nanami will nod, saying, yeah. This one Junpei will say, hey, I have something to do tomorrow. Do you mind if you take care of my mom? Yuji then says, Junpei, how about this? I go with you, Nanami, you take care of his mom. Nanami would nod, saying, I'm okay with that. Junpei then glares at Nanami, saying, don't you try anything. Nanami glares back at Junpei, and Junpei immediately surrenders, never mind. But yeah. Now let's fast forward a bit to the night. Today, Junpei is hanging out, but at a school thing. Everyone's confused on who Yuji is, and the principal is even confused on who Yuji is. Until Yuji reveals, he's Junpei's friend. Everyone in the school is shocked that someone like Yuji is friends with Junpei, as they see he's tall, he's strong, looks kind of good to the girls. They're shocked that he's Junpei's friend. Now Junpei will do whatever he had to do. Suddenly, all students are falling unconscious. But as they're about to be poisoned by Mahito, Yuji kind of just chuckle, as he then says, Sukuna, let's try it. Sukuna will nod, and Yuji's head, Sukuna nods. And Yuji would start using his positive cursed energy, mixing it with Sukuna's cursed energy, and Yuji would say mass scramble. And basically what that does is Yuji lets out a large burst of scramble. You can't use it all, it's just one of this affects a wide area, not multiple people at once. It's not meant for people, it's meant for the area. It won't affect the person's brain or thought. It'll just affect cursed energy that happens to be within the area. So the cursed energy that's trying to poison the students is always wiped away, as Yuji chuckles, saying, it works. Looks at Junpei. Junpei had enough physical training to at least learn how to throw a decent punch, kick, and certain martial art holds. It's Yuji barely let Junpei sleep. But eventually, some of the monsters or spirits come out through windows, walls, everything, and leads to Junpei and Yuji fighting them. Junpei is able to some of them are level 1 through 3, and Junpei is able to take out level 2 and 3. Yuji takes them all down pretty easily, no matter what level they are, until it comes to the special graded spirits, which aren't there. But after Yuji clears out almost every spirit by himself, he walks out saying Mahito, and Junpei has to do his thing. Pause real quick. Okay, so Yuji and Mahito Yuji and Junpei confront Mahito, and Junpei will use his curse technique, or not really curse technique, but his Shikigami, which is moon dregs, which can stun people. So Junpei is ready to fight, so it's Yuji, and it's kind of leads to mainly Yuji taking down Mahito or fighting Mahito, and Junpei will stun him, occasionally using moon dregs, and Yuji's able to use a lot of curse techniques to not cursing, but a lot of power to fight Mahito. Eventually, Mahito will try to turn into a giant bird to swoop down and use claws to kill Junpei by trying to go right through his head. But Yuji, using Black Flash, will punch Mahito in the air, or Mahito thinks it's a punch, and Mahito didn't feel the force of it or impact, but he knew he was flung higher in the air. Also, the cost of Yuji's basically Sukuna's grace or Sukuna's blessing. He has to hit people, but they don't feel pain or impact or anything from it. They should get flung higher in the air or farther away. Mahito thought it was like a dud attack until he starts seeing cursed energy flare on his stomach. As Yuji will snap, saying, boom. That indicates an explosion. Suddenly, Mahito hears and sees the explosion appear on his body. as Mahito falls to the ground. And when he falls, Yuji starts to finish him off using Black Flash, but suddenly a large special grade curse that's way above Yuji's pay grade will hit Yuji. I say that, my bad. I'm gonna use late for this end. So yeah, a special grade curse will rush at Yuji as it swatted Junpei away, and then hits Yuji right in the ground. As soon as Yuji hits the ground, he coughs up a little bit of blood, saying, "Damn it." He rolls over, looks at the side, and there's a pretty large scratch mark on it. Sugino says, "Just let me heal it, you fight the curse." You would nod as Junpei is, he tells Junpei, try to rapidly stab it, Junpei would agree as he starts rapidly stabbing it using moon dregs, as Yuji using Black Flash would punch the stab marks. And that's kind of their technique, that's kind of their strategy, to rapidly punch the injuries. As it's punched, eventually it ends up shooting the moon drag will shoot right through the curse's head, and that's able to almost kill it. But Yuji will finish it off as he then jumps in the air using Black Flash. Will kind of just Yuji just yells, "Use Black Tornado." That's what, well, not Black Torpedo. That's what Yuji calls it. As he just jumps in the air, kind of like Superman punches, or tries to Superman punch the hole, and he starts spinning in the air as that would make the torpedo. Then he punches the head of the cursed spirit, basically obliterating it, and that would kill it. Yuji walks up to Junpei and high fives him as Yuji falls over unconscious. Sukuna will then take over Yuji's body as Sukuna will stand up, saying, "Finally, I haven't had free range over this body in a long time." It looks like Junpei is ready to fight, knowing who Sukuna is. Sukuna says, "Calm down, I have no interest in being stabbed by that thing." As he points to moon dregs, and then suddenly Nanami arrives. But to shock Yuji sees that Mahito escaped. But he sees that Sukuna and Junpei are peacefully talking. And Sukuna already knows that Yuji can take over when he wants to, but Yuji's resting right now. He's trying to heal. But Nanami's questioning what's happening until Junpei's like, "Oh, we fought Mahito." And he's shocked that Yuji's alive. Well, Yuji and Junpei are alive. But that's when Junpei will say, Yuji almost killed him, but he summoned a giant cursed spirit that was special grade and almost killed Yuji. This caught him by surprise. And Sukuna is like, Sukuna was surprised, but he isn't anymore. Nanami's a surprise at this point. As Nanami's like, with Yuji training from Sukuna, Yuji and me might be on equal terms, or Yuji has surpassed me right now. So even if I was here, I might not have been able to kill the spirit. And at this point, Yuji and Nanami are on equal terms. One thing that Nanami has an advantage against Yuji is ratio, the ratio technique. Overtime will not do anything against Yuji, as Yuji's physical strength makes a Black Flash will basically obliterate overtime Nanami unless he uses ratio. But yeah. So I can't really see anymore. Now once Sukuna will say, "Alright, Yuji's ready to come back." Yuji and Sukuna switch out as Yuji points to the giant scratch on his side that's now like a small scar. Yuji says, "That was way bigger than before." He stretches and says, "Alright." As Yuji then puts his jacket back on. Well, you can't really put it back on, it was basically torn in half. And I'm gonna go find fan art of Yuji wearing different clothes. Okay, I can't really find an outfit for Yuji, but basically Yuji now wears a kind of like what Yuta wears, but more or less he has the same jacket, but it goes down past his hands, and it's just all black with red hints on it, like the buttons are red, then the sleeves, towards the sleeve area is red, towards the bottom of it, the cuffs are red. Yuji's pants are very baggy sweatpants with his red high tops. So now what Yuji wears is his clothes were decimated. Now first to Google the next arc. Okay, yeah, the next arc is a Kyoto Goodwill arc. So basically they all gather for the arc, and everyone's kind of shocked to see how much Yuji has changed. As Toto, he didn't fight Megumi, as Megumi and Toto are basically on the same wavelength the strength. Intelligence goes to Megumi, speed Megumi, strength Toto. Overall, if they were going to go technique, it would mainly be in their both their favors. So they're almost equals. Megumi has a slight advantage, but Nobara at this point can handle Nishimiya, push this name pretty easily. And then when it came to Mai, that also would be in her favor. One person that could probably handle Nobara out of the girls would be Maki, as Maki trained pretty hard with Nobara, and Megumi trained pretty hard with Gojo, as Megumi can already use domain expansion. So yeah. So fight would start with basically Yuji is telling everyone, telling all the Tokyo students to separate, let him handle all of the Kyoto students, and then once he's ready, he'll let them all go. Now, Noritoshi and Nishimiya think this is Yuji underestimating them as they haven't fought Yuji. Well, Mekamaru too. Well, all the Tokyo students seem to trust Yuji, so they jump away. And they run throughout the forest. So, now, that leads to Noritoshi, Nishimiya, and Mekamaru are rushing at Yuji. As soon as Mekamaru gets close enough to Yuji kind of just like uses Black Flash and appears next to Mekamaru, as Yuji will say, too slow. And Mekamaru is kicked right towards Panda. Panda will leave room for Mekamaru as those two engage in combat, which leads to Panda basically abusing Mekamaru. It's not even funny, it's just abuse. As Panda is stronger. And then Yuji then looks around, saying that Megumi didn't go far. He stayed behind a tree, or just sat behind a tree. So he looks at Noritoshi, saying, you can handle it, Megumi." Megumi chuckles, saying, "Perfect." In Black Flash, he appears in front of Noritoshi, and Noritoshi and him would then go off. Now, Nobara didn't go far either, as Nobara, Nishimiya, and Mai began to fight. But eventually, Mai ends up finding Maki instead. Kasumi would join in a fight with Yuji and Toto. I believe there's only two left. Because Mai is with Maki, Panda is with Mekamaru, while Mekamaru is with Panda. Then Noritoshi is with Megumi. Nishimiya is with Nobara. So, yep, it's just Kurasumi and Toto. So Toto is using, they're actually getting good combos in on Yuji, until Yuji then tells Toto, I have finally unlocked them in expansion, so you two might end up being at a disadvantage. Once those two hear that Yuji unlocked them in expansion, they're shocked. But this leads to a simple domain being used by Kasumi. She goes to attack Yuji. Once Yuji will dodge the attack, he chuckles as just one finger will graze her blade, and she thinks, why did Yuji intentionally get himself cut? Well, she sees that Yuji's finger isn't bleeding, but her blade is saying something red. Red flares up into a curse technique, not curse energy. Then she closes, saying, "What the?" And Yuji will smirk, saying, "Stab." As he snaps, and a blade shoots out of Kasumi's blade, and it stabs her in the shoulder. Now it's not like a giant stab wound, but it's like a small sickle blade or small sickle injury. So it goes through her shoulder. She just freaks out, and she was confused until Yuji would appear behind her and hit her in the back with force with enough pain and invoked on her to knock her out. When she falls to the ground unconscious, this leads to Yuji and Toto fighting. Now Yuji is just fighting Toto, not even just trying to use her techniques. But Yuji's holding back against Toto because he wants Toto to enjoy the fight, even though he would outmatch Toto pretty easily. But we're going to go to Panda versus Mekamaru. Panda went in full force, not even letting any of his cores be destroyed, as he basically destroyed Mekamaru like he was nothing. So Mekamaru just basically got bear hugged until he got crushed in half. Then Maki versus Mai, Maki and Mai are very strong compared to the canon Maki and Mai, as Maki in the manga right now is comparable to this Maki. So if you guys don't know, manga Maki is comparable to Toshi. Well, not Toshi, Toji. I don't want anyone to hear that, but because someone's asleep someone's sleeping in the room next to me, and yeah. Pause real quick. All right, so yeah. Now I should look up something. So I'm not look up. Well, I look up something, but yeah. So basically, Maki in the manga is comparable to Toji Fushiguro. Toji Fushiguro is Megumi's father. I don't know. I had to correct myself. I should make sure, but basically, Maki is comparable to that, and this Mai is comparable to Maki before she got as strong as Toji. So it's not like a even fight, but Maki is impressed with her sister's growth. But eventually Maki knocks out her sister, and Toge is just watching the fight. He has no one to fight for himself. But yeah, Toge just watches the fight, and Toge is stronger. So yeah, he's comparable to Itadori and Kanon when this happened. So I'm pretty sure Toge is stronger than in Kanon. stronger than Yuji and Canyon, but I assume he's not because main character plot. Main character plot armor. But we're gonna go past that now, and eventually this leads up to Toge having to fight Hanami. Toge and Hanami are fighting. It's actually a pretty good fight, and like everyone senses Hanami thinks another student just flaring up their cursed energy. But now we're going to go over Nishimiya versus Nobara. Nobara is legit like punching around Nishimiya using Black Flash like she's a toy. When Nishimiya tries to shoot at Nobara using her broom, but Nobara would just dash past her, breaking the broom in half and elbowing Nishimiya right in the jaw, not knocking her out and breaking her jaw pretty badly. No, not me. Megumi versus Toya and Nishimiya. I forgot. But Megumi versus him. That fight's actually more in Megumi's favor, as Megumi's frogs are basically just catching him off guard until Megumi just punches him in the gut or something. But eventually he's knocked out. And basically everything is in Kyoto's favor until they hear Toge yell. They recognize it as Toge's voice as they know it as no one else's voice, and Toge's the only one they haven't heard speak or yell loudly. So they all run over to where they heard the yell, and they see Hanami pretty tired out, with Toge, who has a very badly broken arm. But this is when Yuji looks at Hanami, Megumi looks at Hanami, every student that's still conscious looks at Hanami. And that's basically a death sentence for Hanami. Maki throws her blade around, and Yuji starts stretching and jumping around like Goku. Toto's unconscious, as Yuji punched him in the gut hard enough once he heard Toge yell. Megumi just starts readying up his spirits. They're all ready for it. And Hanami eventually rushes at them, thinking nothing's going to happen. But the other curse users that were there, or the other, bad villains that were there, all rush over to Hanami, feeling the amount of curse energy welling up. And eventually, the first one would be the guy with would basically be actually the human actually. He rushes at Yuji, thinking he might be easy, until he actually tries to punch Yuji in the guts as hard as he can. Once everyone feels sees the impact that the guy had, he looks at Yuji saying, "What the hell? It's like punching a titanium wall, or basically uranium or titanium wall." Yuji just chuckles, saying, "Yeah, this isn't gonna be a good day for you." As Yuji would make Black Flash appear, use Black Flash on his hand and swats the guy in the head as hard as he can. You guys have seen Ubagin versus the Mafia in Hunter x Hunter. Basically, the guy that tried to shoot Ubagin in the head ended up like poor old guy that tried to fight Yuji. That guy is hit over the head and his neck is basically to the side and he's dead. The guy with like a butcher equipment. This leads to Yuji just pump striking him in the gut as hard as he can and knocking him out. And he tells I've had my action. You guys can go fight them. I have to go make sure Kasumi doesn't bleed out because I stabbed her. It shocks the Kyoto students that are so conscious as he stabbed Kasumi. So he goes to grab Kasumi and Toto, and basically everyone else that's unconscious besides Mekamaru, and he brings them back to the infirmary. Or Shoko, I believe. But eventually once he gets there, they're questioning, why isn't Yuji fighting? This Yuji says, and he knocked out someone, and he killed one of them. Well, he gives up the unconscious students to the infirmary, and you just watches the fight with Hanami. Now, mainly it's just completely wash. Maki and Megumi are carrying the whole fight, so it's kind of fun to watch for Yuji. But then he sees Hanami end up missing an attack from Hanami missed an attack that she was able to hit Maki, and everybody knows this is now Hanami's death sentence as Maki will punch her down, knocking out Hanami, and eventually crushing her head. But this is Jogo trying to interfere, so he uses as much volcano power as he can, which just sends them all back a bit, and he grabs Hanami and will leave. Now Hanami has like half a head at this point, like quarter of her head is gone now, like a good portion of it's gone. So yeah, now Yuji was impressed to see that display of power as he kept clapping him for all of them, saying, that's a good display of power. But you should try to work harder. That's when Yuji has an idea, because he heard about Mekamaru from Shoko and everyone else. So when you heard about Mekamaru, he actually has an idea. He actually requests to go see Mekamaru. And they listen to this request as Yuji then tells Sukuna, do you know his plan? Sukuna is very reluctant to help, so Sukuna will not be of much help. Once Yuji goes to Mekamaru's house, Mekamaru is questioning what Yuji's doing here. But this is when Yuji starts using positive energy on Mekamaru, trying to heal his body to the point where he can at least somewhat be active. He's able to heal a majority, but around at least half of Mekamaru's body, and Mekamaru's upper body is the one that's more or less in shape now. Mekamaru's face has some, isn't really too appealing still, but he's alright. Mekamaru thanks Yuji for this, and Yuji will leave. So, Mekamaru now attends classes at Kyoto regularly. Next arc would most likely be the cursed painting arc, or the cursed death painting, which is where we meet S, or Iso, and Kechizu. So, those two. And if you guys know who Choso is from the Shibuya incident, Iso and Kechizu, those two are his brothers. Choso is their older brother. But Mahito and Toguro basically make them. But they still do go to Megami's high school or middle school. They brought everything, and but Megami's sister. And Megami has Yuji has met Megami's sister a few times. Nobara hasn't. But we're just fast forward to the first the fights. Everything else goes the same. But yeah. Now, eventually, the first thing that we're gonna go over is basically Megami versus Iso. Iso is just fighting Megami, and this fight is a complete wash. Megami has is very so much martial arts to the point where Iso can't keep up. Then we have Kechizu. Kechizu tries to fight Yuji and Nobara, plus the Finger Bearer tries to fight them. And eventually, it's not really going too well. As Finger Bearer, once he gets near Yuji looks at it, and with a quick, a swift black flash punch to the head, half of its body is knocked away, and Yuji grabs the finger and eats it. Once he eats it, he then says, "Alright, Sukuna, how much power would that give us?" Sukuna then says, I don't know. Well, we'll train later and figure it out." You would nod saying, "Alright, whatever." Looks at Nobara versus Kechizu, which is just a complete wash, as Nobara is just abusing Kechizu. Eventually, she'll use the same technique she did in canon, where she snapped and the nail went right through Kechizu, killing him. Then we go to Megami versus Iso. Megami eventually just summoned he used his domain expansion, which ended up killing Iso. And by the way, I mentioned Megami told Todo and Kasumi about his domain expansion, but he didn't use it because Kasumi interrupted him. So yeah. Now, off that topic. Next arc would be the Shibuya incident, and I'm in the middle of that right now. I'm in the middle of it. So I'm gonna go over what I remember. First off, right now would be Gojo going to fight Jugo. Well, first he's going to fight Jugo, Hanami, and Getsu. I believe those are the people he goes to fight. Also, the one guy that Yuji killed, he's originally this arc, but he's not there this time. Well, right now, Gojo's going to kill Mahito, Jogo, Hanami, and Geto. As for skill, he's still sealed. And eventually, we're going to go to Yuji fighting the guy with the inverse technique. Inverse technique is basically if he's attacked, he can actually make so the damage doesn't even hurt him. The inverse supposed damage doesn't even touch him. So that guy's curse technique is pretty powerful, but doesn't really work on him. Well, it's pretty powerful. That's all I can say. So once Yuji and Megami start fighting him, they're able to figure out it's an inverse technique within 2 minutes. As Sukuna is telling him, the damage isn't hurting him. So Yuji is aware that Gojo is sealed. As Yuji's going in blind, so is Megami. Megami's following Yuji's lead. Oops, so let's get this intro. But Yuji basically is going in blind. Megami's following Yuji's lead. But within 2 minutes, Sukuna is able to tell Yuji that the guy isn't taking any damage. As Yuji figures that out, he tells Megami, and Megami concludes it's an inverse technique. So, because of Sukuna and Megami's quick thinking, they're able to put it together, and eventually Yuji just looks at Megami, and he tells Megami he's the fastest, so he'll use his curse technique well, not sorry, he'll use Black Flash to try to attack the guy at all directions, which and make me follow up with the frogs. And Megumi would agree. He even summons the bird just to catch the guy off guard. So Yuji will use Black Flash to the point where he's moving at lightning speeds, kicking the guy around. The guy's feeling just the force being moved around until the frog starts pulling him around and the bird starts slashing at him. Eventually, as the bird slashes at him, he'll dodge, but he doesn't see Yuji coming at him. And Yuji will use his planting technique, and the guy just senses the energy. But he feels like someone grazed his face. He thought that was a punch by Yuji that he dodged by accident. But as he's about to try to finish one of them off, Yuji will chuckle as he says, "Combust," as he snaps, and the guy's head then bursts into blue flames. Or blue flames will surround the guy's head, burning him alive. The guy begins freaking out until he eventually is burned to the point where his skin is longer and his brain, well, basically everything in his head is burned away except his skull. So yeah, Yuji will high five Megumi, and I'm going to conclude this part here. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, comment if you like the video, comment if you didn't like it. Bye.